What's going on? So, instead of playing the game that we were playing earlier, we're now doing this. So, let's go down this road. Here we go. What, you want me to talk about the ice situation? First of all, you don't need me to talk about that. Everybody's talking about that. Secondly, there's nothing new. It's the same situation that I've been talking about. That you're a complete moron if you support this orange douchebag any further, and you support it's completely illegal misuse of federal law enforcement. So, again, nothing has changed. So, you don't need me to comment on that. Everybody else is talking about it and suddenly jumping all over these stories. When everybody, you know, like some of us have been talking about this since long before it happened and warning you about it. And our streams have been getting screwed with. My streams have been getting screwed with since forever. Just like you saw on that last one. So, I've been saying this shit for a long time, so everybody acts like I need to comment or something like that. Now, I've been commenting and warning you for a long time, so you want to continue supporting that douchebag. Nah, I've been trying to tell you for a long time, so that's... You don't need any more comment than that. Now, as far as this Shadow War is concerned, now remember, I want you to think really hard about this, because we were just gonna play a video game today, but now here we are. Okay, so there is a real time period, enigma, whatever you want to call it, where at a certain point, technology is well past the understanding of the general public, and this has actually been going on for a number of years, not anything new. And I can use a little bit of a definition here if you'd like. But there's really no specific when talking to the AI about it, I asked there's not really necessarily a specific name. It's calling it a technology gap. And I asked if it agreed that this has been going on for the past several years, and that, you know, essentially saying that the understanding of technology and computer tech was already, you know, the gap was already big. And I've talked about this before. Before this, the gap of people that would understand it. Remember, like 9 out of 10 people would just double down on what they think they already knew. I've talked to you about how this was the issue for a long time, and so, somebody's clearly doing that and causing that problem, but they're not doing the proper tests and logic and knowing how to do those things. You know, that deduction, that logic, that science-like mind that allows them to do that. So basically the point is now it's beyond calculable, and I wanted to know if it agreed that it's getting worse. And yeah, it did. It said yes, and it's accelerating mainly because AI tools, especially generative AI, changed capability levels abruptly. Technology is now less visible. Cloud systems, algorithms, model weight, automated decisions. People interact with magic interfaces without needing to understand anything underneath. Yes. Even tech-literate people can't track everything anymore. Chips, models, security, data pipelines, etc. So the gap isn't just growing, it's compounding. So, with this being said, what you have to understand about that is there can be all kinds of technologies that especially a foreign nation could have that would not want the best of things to happen to, let's say Americans, where, you know, a nation is constantly lied to and told that the U.S. started all these wars, and they're just, you know, angry beasts, sort of, you know. Remember, North Korea, it's like really inherent that they ingrain that very early in their education that they are to hate Americans. So a country like that, where they're lied to and one-off people that might be rich, and again, almost nobody is there, but the one-off couple of people that might be able to, you know, you rationalize maybe like the couple of head of whatever, you know, military or whatever, you know, you want to say is gonna do that for them, where they're closer to the dictator. The point is that you know, you still might have that, or you still might even have recluse, you know, that just does something, you know, aside from that, just figures it out, you know, how to breach through the systems or whatever. Because remember, the whole point is the technology is well past, the gap is well past what you can understand. So maybe somebody else just understands it. And really, truthfully, that's kind of the point. Where I sort of showed that. You know, I kind of came on here. The whole point was that I wanted to help people with this. I wanted to help with the gap. So why was I simultaneously attacked? And so, like, that's what you got to recognize, where this is like built into the platform almost. Yeah. And now, you know, like, obviously we're clearly, they're clearly, you know, sitting here causing problems, as you can see. Yeah. So we're gonna get there, and we're gonna get to, you know, the whole point behind that, but you can clearly see them causing problems. So if you're experiencing buffering, Google knows. They're responsible. They know it's their fault. So it is integrated, it is built in, and again, the whole point is that I was trying to bridge this gap. I was trying to help people without even, like, you know, just giving them tips in here, you know, like, just basic stuff they could follow, and all they had to do was listen to it. So of course they're gonna start momentarily trying to buffer things and cause problems for my stream, abruptly ending them when they know maybe a big streamer's watching or something like that, paying attention to it. And so what you have to understand is that there's a bunch of things at play right now. There's not only foreign influence where it's like foreign governments and stuff like that. We're talking about possible rogue AI models where you have a rogue AI in the system seemingly existing to escape. And here I am educating everybody. Yeah, here I am trying to bridge the gap, trying to educate everybody, warn everybody. Yeah, I care. So again, it sees me as the ultimate threat, all while, again, using my knowledge. So, there's a lot of different things at play, but we know of, things like that. And we know of the manipulation of AI, and we know, that's partially what's possibly causing it, is that what they don't want to tell you, what the government doesn't want to tell you, is that a sentient being was accidentally slipped into the system somewhere and vanished. And has been kind of just attacking stuff. And good old Elon wants to rush these bots out and stuff for private use and whatnot. So here's the big thing. Here's the thing I haven't told you yet. Do you remember Venezuela? Do you know how they got him out? Do you know? And don't just be like, well, it's the U.S. We can. Oh, come on. No, this was something we could never really do. Even us. It was for a long time, up until apparently right recently. I mean, remember, the whole point is Vietnam was sort of an example of that, where, like, seemingly we should have annihilated them, and how long did that drag on before we realized, no, that's the mistake, You can't... It is so hard to strategize against, their own territory and stuff like that. So the point is, aside from just destroying stuff, how do you seemingly do what they did? And that quick. Oh yeah, there's the emoji. Oh man. Oh, I wonder why we're trying to throw shade on this. Oh, yeah. Because you didn't look it up and you don't know? Is that why? And now you're sitting here waiting for me to say it because you don't know? I wonder how many other people don't know. Pretty sure they used an illegal technology that a lot of people don't even know that exists, and that the U.S. only has. It's a technology I said way back that I said on stream way back, I'm surprised nobody's actually done this yet. Of course. Yeah. So, what you have to realize about a technology like that is that means that so first of all, who has that? The NSA? Probably. The CIA has it, the NSA probably has it. And what do we know the NSA has control over? YouTube. Oh yeah, they just spy on YouTube. Like, you really think they don't? I promise you, that's who's doing that. It's them. That is who is doing that. The difference is between an administration that has ethics and one that doesn't. So, it's some fucking MAGA douchebag that's all rage-filled and stuff spying on you instead of somebody that goes to college, gets an education, maybe has some military experience, intelligence. Yeah, somebody that you want to do that job versus what's actually happening. And I think they're like, I'll be honest with you, a lot of what's happening with Trump is very off-brand. It makes him look really bad, and he doesn't like that. So why is he doing all that stuff? I personally think somebody is killing him. That's what I think. I think it's the Republicans. I think the Republicans are killing Donald Trump secretly, slowly. And they're going to try to pin everything on him. Now, that's not to say he's not at fault for some things, but all of a sudden he had a stroke. He's had all these injections. Well, I think he's in trouble. I do. That's what my gut tells me. Like, regardless of how I feel about the guy, this is what my gut tells me. That he's in trouble. Hey, Chris. So, who assassinated Kennedy? Now, Trump's not Kennedy. But if it was reversed, if it was the opposite agenda now, or the opposite agenda, and I am not for that. You guys know that. Like, I'll support the left because the Democrats have been doing the jobs and doing a good job lately, but I am not for the left for that reason. I'm not for, like, that's the whole point. I'm for somebody that makes sense. Which is the reasonable, responsible take. So, JFK was assassinated, and it was like very obviously planned in such a way that it used people, like, people had warnings, and it used people that kind of didn't want that necessarily. But then it just sort of happened. And so what you have to understand is that the CIA is not supposed to operate on U.S. soil. It's illegal for good reason. For sort of that reason. So here's one thing I'll say. The ICE thing, it's still illegal the way it's being done. But one thing I will say is that while you... and I haven't said this much yet, but I've said it a little bit. You do have the right to protest. But I feel like... Now, Minneapolis, totally different situation. You understand that, right? That's really aggressive. People are being shot. That's different. That's actually a very different situation. Something's going on there. I just... Again, the use of it normally would be blocked by a judge or something like that, where normally you wouldn't want to do these things because you trust law enforcement to do what they would do. You know. But then there are also these things going on. So here's the deal. Somebody is keeping Trump in the dark about the fact, like, they're trying to make him think it's like the people, that it's like the voters and stuff like that, when, you know, it's very clearly like a group of people within the Republican Party that, you know, want to put their guy, you know, sort of like what they did with the Merrick Garland pick, you know, where they just waited, they left the seat vacant for, like, and you'd never do that. And Obama appointed somebody, and they just left it vacant because they wanted Trump to pick somebody, their guy, basically. And so, like, you know, you've got to recognize that that's what they're trying to probably do with him. And that was always a big concern of mine too, was the fact that maybe they were getting Trump to be this way or act this way because he didn't know what he was doing, and they wanted to use this as a way to have, like, copycat sort of propaganda filled, you know, like, just be better at running against the Democrats. Because they're not prepared to represent you. They're prepared to lie to you and manipulate. So I think this was just a way for them to create endless propaganda and fake news. You know, using Trump as that catalyst. So, and we know that I've been specifically attacked at various times very aggressively when mentioning specific Republicans that are very slimy. So that's very interesting. Um, regardless of that, there is still this like thing going on where if the NSA wants to use this particular technology that they have access to now, they can. And they shouldn't. They shouldn't be able to. So, the thing I just said, the technology gap, where you couldn't possibly understand. Alright. Let me tell you a couple of things that you probably don't even already know about, that have actually been out for a couple of years. Okay, so first of all, number one. And I assure you, again, it is illegal to use this stuff on citizens. You know, like invasion of privacy and stuff like that. So, like, the sonar-like technology, like geofencing and stuff like that, they have that now. So, basically with that, they can put a thing in somebody's house, like basically just a signal, and they can see everything, and all kinds of other stuff too. You know, it's like a data thing. So, so that's just one thing. And if you remember, this was the thing at the end of one of the Batman movies. If you remember, this was the thing that was like too much power for one man, you know? And so, like, the point is, these guys go to the office and, you know, this is what they do. And even Batman was like, nah. Even Batman's like, nah. Too much. Yeah, Mr. Vigilante himself was like, nope, too much. I mean, it's literally what Batman is. You do understand he's literally, like, the whole point is he breaks the law. He's a vigilante. He can't really do what he's doing. But the whole point is he just gets away with it. And a lot of it is, again, public opinion, but again, he's Batman, so they have a hard time catching him, too. And, you know, obviously having Commissioner Gordon, the whole idea is that, you know, that's his friend, so they kind of make it look like they want to catch him while they really don't. Because he actually helps. So the whole point is that, like, you're supposed to recognize, yeah, like, the guy that goes out of his way and says, I'm gonna take matters into my own hands, I don't give an F. Even he draws the line and says, whoa. 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 Yeah. You should. The whole point is, the writer wrote it that way. Everybody that's read it, done a movie about Batman, agreed with it. All the fans, all the people that like it, that are intelligent, that you know. Again, you have to realize just the gravity of that. The whole point is that you can pull stuff from culture like that. Like, it's not something where it's like, oh, well, that's just Batman. It's just a comic. No, that's a writer, an editor, a publishing company, many people behind that read it and said, yeah, agreed. It's not a it's just a comic. It's many people, you know, saying, yeah, I'll publish that. I'll get behind that. Because if they wouldn't, they probably wouldn't. Like, I'm not publishing that. It's trash. So anyway, when everybody likes something, understand kind of what that means. Like, it's not. Don't look at it like a mass mob. Dude, that's somebody taught you wrong. If that's how they're teaching you, they taught you wrong, and that sucks. Because a lot of people liking something is just a huge amount of people having a very positive opinion about this thing, you know, and all coming together to agree on it. Only if it's negative or toxic is it negative or toxic. What's wrong with liking something, you know? So anyway, as far as the Shadow War is concerned, getting back to that. The technology that they used, and again, we've talked about this before, but it's very dangerous. And it's the sort of thing where I feel like another administration might come in and just get rid of it. Because it's like a war crime, sort of. Or it's incredibly inhumane. I promise all the people that they use this on probably have some severe side effects. And probably permanent. But again, with stuff that's like that, you have to appreciate the fact that the next possible thing is and I've sort of, I don't know that I've confirmed it, but it felt like confirmation to me, and you guys know how logical I am at I need to know something, you know. And this felt like a pretty solid confirmation to me. So it basically the next step, you have to be able to think like that. What's that next step? And unfortunately, I used to think, well, if I just don't say it, then, you know, they won't think it, you know. And so it's not the case anymore now, especially with AI and stuff. Now I have to, because now it's more like, if I don't, somebody silently, secretly already is doing this, you know. So the technology that they use and similar technology and stuff like that, again, you want to realize that stuff like that is very dangerous, extremely inhumane, can cause detrimental effects, consequences, sort of thing, and it's the future, the advanced part of it that they'll want to get it to, that I'm afraid they may almost be there, which is crazy. It is brain patterns. So when you think, it's a brainwave. And we already know that the brainwaves actually operate at a certain frequency. I mean, there's a frequency for that. We have accomplished Bluetooth, wireless. We've pretty much nailed this stuff at this point. So, yeah, it's there. It exists, and the NSA probably has it. That's who probably has that. So yeah, mind control. Mind, not control. That they don't have. That's the ultimate goal. Mind, they would call it manipulation, because what they're going to do is they're going to get the person to get a headache, they're going to get them to feel bad, trigger depression. That's all they're going to do. So they're going to call it mind manipulation. Not mind control. Mind control is what they want. That's what they're doing. And it looks like a bunch of people protesting something that doesn't make any sense. It looks like a bunch of ICE agents grabbing people they shouldn't grab, like citizens and stuff like that. And it doesn't make any sense. It looks like an ICE agent shooting somebody in the face 3 times for no reason. And it doesn't make any sense. I'm being attacked from within. A coup, so to speak. And I try to tell you it's been happening. I'm just sitting here watching it, following it, trying to warn you. No, I'm not doing. What do I got? A brain? I'm just sitting here watching stuff, following it. And so what you have to understand is that, they probably knew that I have the understanding to figure things out like this. I'm just letting you know, I think the bigger problem is who's causing all of it. Who's manipulating it. Because you guys just constantly fighting with each other isn't solving anything. Okay, so if your ears are your ears ringing? Do your ears ring? You get random nosebleeds or ear bleeds? Headaches? Blurred vision? Balance? Random too. Actually, More specifically, if you become angry and display hatred. More specifically, that. Does that sound about right? You notice that pattern too? What they're trying to do is get you to think it's prayer that you need to pray. They're trying to manipulate you to believe in prayer again. I'm not sure why. I think it's stupid. Prayer works. It does. So why are they trying to... Because they're trying to play God. No, not for the reason to get you to believe in Christianity or believe in prayer. To answer a few of them for the sake of scaring you. Or not answer them and, do the opposite of what you asked for or something like that. So, all I can tell you is that you can do something about it, but I can't give you a definitive, if I give you a rundown, if I sit here and I give you the technique, it will go away. But the good news is that you can do something about it. You have to understand that you are in control of you, not anybody else. Remember that. It's just a headache. It's just this. What was I going to normally do? Don't let it. Again, you are in control of you. So that's the best way I can tell you to combat that without giving you the actual, this is how it's done. It's becoming more and more difficult to even, want to give those answers and say certain things even out loud, let alone on stream. So, I will tell you that this technology that they have, when somebody's under pressure in a situation like that, the chances of them choosing an easy outcome, like shooting or something like that, where it just has a conclusion to it immediately, is often, I think, the thing they're trying to establish. And, just getting somebody to make the quick choice, the instant, without thinking about it, the instant incorrect choice that pops into your brain that would be the devil on your shoulder, and not the conscience. Right. Like I think that's what's kind of happening there a little bit. So prayer works. Actual real prayer works if you believe. It's a believe. And then you have to know and believe 100% that God will help you and will do. If you don't, it won't happen. That's how prayer works. That's how it works. Promise you, if you actually can do those things, it will work 100% of the time. But if you have even the slightest bit of doubt, it will never work. You will never see prayer work, and you'll be like, F this thing. You have to. If it didn't work, you didn't believe it. You think you believed it, but you didn't. Some of that starts with accepting. Acceptance. That feeling. Sometimes people don't tell you that. It's a feeling. The feeling of acceptance. They'll just like say, oh, it starts with accept. What does that mean? The feeling of acceptance. Manifesting the feeling of I accept this. That's what that means. I've realized like nobody says that, but yeah, that's what they mean by that. It's like when you're sad and you need to laugh and you can't laugh or something like that. Do you know if you just force yourself to smile? Because I've had to do this. And this is why you'll see some people try to throw shade on it that want me to feel bad in my life or something like that. You know, because they think if he's doing okay, he must not feel bad about this stressful thing or something like that. That's how people are. No, it's like sometimes it's just so bad. You have to do that. So yeah, sometimes it's just about doing it anyway, and then in 5 minutes after fake smiling, yeah, you realize you're in a little bit of a better mood anyway. So, I'd be willing to bet that some of the ICE agents that aren't acting and just sort of standing there, like they should be, I'll be willing to bet under the masks, a lot of them look like this. Like, it's sort of like, I don't really want to be here, like half grin, half I'm gonna do the duty, you know, the sort of thing, but trying to find some sort of middle ground where they have to enjoy it, they have to, you know, so at least they're outside, I guess, you know, like what's to enjoy about that experience? So that's what you have to realize about that. They don't like it either. So I don't know, like my personal opinion of that is like if you throw stuff that all they're going to do is throw some tear gas and then grab somebody. So stop giving them a reason. Obviously they shouldn't do that, but stop. Yeah, you know, you know what I mean? They're going to use that excuse. If they're driving by and you throw a piece of the sliced bologna, that's not going to... technically that's not, there's nothing, I mean, it's, don't waste food, but that was pretty funny. Don't throw snow because you can have chunks of ice. I feel like people are missing the point and being very hateful. I feel like a lot of people are, and then like I hear them yelling things like, "You have a choice." They do? Yeah, that's their job, right? They have a choice? Really? I'm not so sure about that. They probably don't. Probably a good bit of them don't really want to be doing it. Do you think soldiers wanted to be in Afghanistan? No. No. Afghanistan was a huge mistake. No, like, the whole point is, like, we stopped being all gung-ho about war and soldiering up, like, a while ago. Pretty much nobody wants that. So that was what, listen, that circles me back to who's causing it. Like, you're being directed to aim this right at them. Now, they're in turn doing that, too. And I have seen some of it. I've seen some of it where it seems like it's almost like some of the ICE agents are watching some of the live streaming that, like, maybe the reporters are there doing a coverage, and it's almost like they're watching, becoming triggered by what they're saying. Because flat out, that I have seen, where there was seemingly no reason that, you know, the reporter was just covering them and you could see them the whole time, and then something was thrown from the direction of the federal agents at the reporter, and, like, literally the camera got jolted out of the way, and he's like, you know, he clearly got hit by something, and as soon as he brought it back, all you see is tear gas and them already there, like they're already there, have run forward, and they're grabbing people and stuff. So, like, the whole point was very clearly to disrupt the line of sight of the camera so they could grab somebody. So, I see both sides. I see very clearly, a profiling where they don't actually know. They're not. There's no investigation. They're looking at people that they are profiling in that crowd. And now they're just doing it because people are noticing this. Now they're just going to do it to white people and stuff like that too. So that's why they're doing that. But the whole point is that, no, like, they're originally they're just profiling, just like they always do. And that's what you got to realize, is that that was the whole original point behind the protesting, and what people were saying is that it's not really the legal means of going about this. We were at, again, a 40-year low under Obama. Remember, we talked about this recently. We were at a 40-year low with deporting illegal immigrants under Obama. 40 years. 40. 40. 40. Under Obama. Everybody thinks that he wasn't deporting and doesn't care about deportations and stuff. We just literally went through that. Organically, that happened when the AI gave us that information. So, the whole point is to confuse both radical sides. You know, again, the one that thinks that we need to deport all these illegals. No, we're at a 40-year low. And then, so, if you do it in force when you don't need to, now I would actually agree with the radical side that says, whoa, we're at a 40-year low, calm down. I would actually kind of agree with that a little bit, because we're at a 40-year low. We've been doing this really well for like 40 years. You don't think you might want to let up a little bit? And then you just start getting a bus loads of people and picking them up at the hardware store and stuff. So, look, I understand that it looks the way it does, but that's the perspective of that side that votes that way. To them, it doesn't seem all that radical. And I would kind of have to agree when you look at it from that debate. That should be how both sides debate that. Yes, I understand. You want to do something about illegal immigration. As we have. And we were at a 40-year low under Obama. But now, the whole point is that this is just to actually, the 40-year low, and then this is what you do, you double down and get even worse? Come on. That is not a middle of the road take. That is not, all right, we've dealt with this. Good job. Now maybe clandestine sort of stuff where we identify the people that are here silently, hiding in silent instead of just, yeah, so probably that instead of, probably. And so, you know, the current guy, he don't know much about that, so the reality is he don't know much about that. So anyway, as far as the NSA is concerned, yeah, the major worry is that we've now had two terms with the current Trump administration where it's like criminal type people that think this way working these jobs, where they think like this. They don't have the civilians' best interests in mind. They want to manipulate people to their narrative, spy on people because they just want to. But, you know, if someone spied on their family member or them or, you know, whoever they you know or something, oh, then they're going to do something about it. Then they, you know, then it's not okay. And real-time monitoring, yeah. Well, we can get to that, but there's a lot of stuff with this to get to. Even just a couple of things we talked about are things that I think probably good most people don't regularly recognize and accept and remember on a regular basis. I feel like they think about it, they might have heard it, and don't accept it as like important or understand why it's important, and just like it's gone by the next day. No, if somebody's using technology to manipulate the masses with an inaudible sound, that is really important. You need to know that. And some people can hear this sound and they're blaming it on the data centers. Oh, it's the data centers. Are you kidding me? That has to be a joke. Like, I get it if there's actually one nearby and you can actually hear it. That's different. I'm just talking about, like, when people are, like, miles from that thing, and they're like, it's the data center. Well, regardless, after that nonsense of what happened on that last stream, I had to get on here and do a little bit of documenting here. I mean, you guys, I really want to show you here what YouTube is doing. And again, I want to remind you The NSA does manipulate YouTube. That's how it manipulates people. Remember, the whole point is that it's showing these ICE agents, these streams, and stuff like that. Right where I would point out that somebody gets something thrown at them for the sake... You know, all that was really happening was, the point was the reporter was kind of talking loudly because it was the wind was blowing, and he was reporting that the ICE agents would seemingly just gas them and run over and grab somebody. And right as he was kind of reporting stuff like this, yeah, that's seemingly what happened, where he actually got hit. It's crazy. And, I mean, it's been pretty obvious to me that I've had experiences where it was obvious that, you know, law enforcement or somebody near me or something became, you know, even not just law enforcement, just somebody near me, just, you know, in vicinity or whatever, became aware that I was streaming or something like that. You know, like it popped up on their, you know, maybe they were scrolling or something and they saw my stream. Like, it was the sort of thing where, like, I could tell, you know, like, especially body language, when they're looking at the screen, they're looking at me, and they're looking at the screen, and they're looking at me, and then they're kind of, like, talking about it, and I mean, like, you can tell what's going on there, you know. And so, you know, it's obviously been more than just a couple of times that that's happened. And so, obviously, I've started to, you know, document and rationalize and pick up on the fact that that YouTube is trying to show this stream to people that it thinks would be triggered by it. You know, like where I don't like Trump or something like that, and it's showing them to all the people that would dislike my opinion instead of liking my opinion and stuff like that. You know, and whatnot. You know, like that's kind of what I picked up on is that it's not showing it to the correct demographic. It's showing it to the opposite. And so the whole point is, well, it's not designed that way. So if you remember, that's where we had the actor, and that's where we had all that stuff, you know, where people came on here and broke my channel, and, you know, sort of everything kind of just trying to make everything work opposite for me and stuff like that, just break everything for me, and seemingly MAGA was manipulated. The people that I said would be manipulated were manipulated to seemingly come in here and cancel, as they always do. So the whole point is that there is a genuine protest against ICE. But there's also a genuine protest against the protest, where, like, people are acting like it's crazy that they're protesting and stuff like that. And I just think that's stupid. It's not crazy. There's always going to be protesting. Why do you act like that? No, let people protest. Don't act like that. But call them out when they are crazy. When people throw stuff and they act different than they should, that's crazy. But no, like, I mean, the whole point is we're calling out the fact that that's not what's happening. You know, that, like, I just saw a stream, I think it was just yesterday, somebody's husband was randomly, a citizen, was randomly kidnapped. Just kidnapped, just randomly, as a citizen. And he was just standing there. And they gassed people, and they were just trying to run away. And that's it. Interesting. So, you know, that's the majority of what I'm seeing. And then I see the irresponsible coverage of it, and people talking irresponsibly about things and not covering things the way they should. You know, like, again, why would Trump's administration sit here and lie and say that ICE was defending themselves when they weren't? Why do they just fucking lie? I mean, Jesus Christ, it's a fucking lie. It's a fucking lie. It's literally a fucking lie. He had his arms in her vehicle, and he was like doing something that we couldn't see. She turned away from him as he was standing on the driver's side. She turned to the right, away from him, and as his hold was about to break loose and she was turning away, he very quickly used his pistol to shoot her bang, 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 like a thug 3 times in the face. At basically point blank range. How's he defending himself or anybody else? There's nobody in front of her. There's plenty of people surrounding behind her vehicle. But again, she was turning to the right away from the agent and driving forward. Okay. So the worst, maybe she would have ran over his feet if he hadn't pulled his hands away? Oh, okay, so that deserves her getting shot in the face 3 times? No. It deserves the officer to be more attentive to his surroundings and not take somebody's life because he's a fucking piece of shit. So the whole point is that the people doing this, they've recognized who the cops are that are a piece of shit. And they're just triggering them, egging them on, egging them on, egging them on, and then they get them to do something like this. This is really going on. Now, how many times you guys? I'm sure you guys out there, some ICE agents and stuff out there. Why the hell do you keep seeing my streams? You're not subscribed, are you? So why does YouTube keep showing them to you? Do you know there's a little button you can hit? Don't recommend this channel. So you keep seeing them, you keep watching them. Fascinating. So basically, you have to understand that there's like a giant web of people, and they're just using certain people to emotionally charge others. And then, you know, that little technology that we talked about too. Because the whole point is that, yeah, for the most part, some of them will resort to questioning that and stuff. So, you know, they have to interrupt that. They have to have something to emotionally fuel you all the time. Which, again, they're just trying to show you this YouTube video and this YouTube video and this YouTube video that you don't want to see. And then well, we already know just how many little malicious spying tools they appear to be able to use. So, you know, just the sheer weight of that, too. The fact that it's not even just the one thing, you know. I've already proven that Yeah, there's plenty of times where there's been huge manipulation scams here that they're trying to pull, and like with like certain views and stuff like that, manipulating certain things at various times that you guys have seen me call out. And so like when it just gets that diverse at times that they're willing to sit there and do various different things, I mean, who's to say how many things are actually viable to them as things they can do to really screw with the population and cause these problems that we see so much of. So yeah, I think more so than anything, we need to understand that both radical sides are being manipulated, and we know that previously Russia used to use chemical weapons. Yeah, like this is the type of stuff that would be right in line with what they used to try to do, and they would try to figure out how to do. So, yeah. But yeah, I've definitely so here's how the tech works. I've confirmed that they can, in fact, if you're somebody that talks to yourself in your head, that's what they can do. Because you talk to yourself. If you didn't think like that, there's not much they can do. That's why. It's because it's like a narration. You're actually narrating your thoughts for them. So the technology is at that point. It's not mind control, but it's like a listening device. So, when you do sleep streams, now you know. Yep. They're testing it out on your dreams. Yep, and I promise you this has an effect on how tired you are. I promise. It does. And no, it's not just the unrest of things, like, I'm sure plenty of people, like, even beyond that, have sort of thought to themselves, there does seem to be an inexplicable reason why I'm not getting the normal amount of sleep. Right? I've seen that report. I've seen that. I've seen it pretty common, actually. Where people are sort of reporting that, beyond the normal scope of what you'd accept as stress and anxiety about the state of things, where things are going. Obviously, that's the big anxiety for people. That's what's stressing everybody out. Everybody knows that, But aside from that, aside from the big orange douche, there's a lot of reports that I'm seeing that are, people saying, aside from the normal life stresses and stuff, they can't figure out what this is. And it doesn't, it's not like the normal symptoms of insomnia. It's like the sort of thing where they're asleep for a while and they just wake up. Sometimes they can go back to sleep, sometimes they can't. Sometimes it's a headache, sometimes it's the stuff I'm telling you about. where they wake up and they seemingly have those sorts of symptoms. And it's like, oh, well, that's interesting. Huh. Fascinating stuff. So, how much of this do you think that your current administration is doing to try to manipulate you into, what's going to happen this time around? The uncertainty of the next election. Yeah, I mean, we were barely into this one. We weren't even a week into this one before I'm sure people were thinking about that next one already. Like, man, I wonder what's gonna happen, And obviously we know it should happen. Shouldn't be any different than how it's been. But we all know it feels that way because of the things that have been said and threatened and thrown around. And so the shadow war that's going on, again, you have to understand that there's a lot of countries that benefit from having a stupid, predictable, manipulative, like he's able to be manipulated. He is easily manipulated. There's a lot of countries around the world that benefit from having a moronic, easily manipulated president in the U.S. chair. And they would sincerely benefit from impacting our election and really messing it up for the foreseeable future, And so, you have to consider that angle too, that this is, the manipulation of technology coming from Russia, China, North Korea. So, how is Trump's under attack, right? Why is he getting... Who's in charge of that guy's health? Can he really not trust somebody to check his health? Like, really? That's horrible. I often wonder if that's because maybe some medical professionals found out that he's not all there, or found some stuff out, and he got mad and said, you can't go public with that, or something like that, or yada yada yada. And I get it that he has privacy and stuff, but he's also the president, so it actually is a matter of national security. So I often wonder if there's something maybe a little bit to that too, but regardless of that, they still, you know, like, it's a shame. It would be a shame if he couldn't, if he feel like, he feels like he still can't get, you know, like, he has the confidence to get the proper, like, care that he needs, like, where it just feels like he can't trust a doctor to do this or this or this. That would be unfortunate. That would be terrible. So maybe that's what's happening a little bit. Maybe, like, I don't know. Like, obviously, it's possible. It's really unlikely that a doctor would attack him with a procedure or something, but I can understand, like, the worry that he has. See, that's what's unfortunate is that people can't set their bias aside. Like, regardless of everything going on. You know, just accepting that he's still the president. Still needs to be protected, maintained safe. You know, you still gotta keep him safe, keep us healthy in the winter and stuff. I mean, those things, just the amount of people that can't separate their bias from the hatred they feel. I understand being hateful and stuff, but that's the problem with hate, is that you don't, that takes a hold of you. You can't rationally go, okay, well, regardless of all these things, these terrible things, stuff like that, we're still going to be in the right here and not be that way ourselves. So you still gotta, you know, treat him the way that you would expect that to be done to you and stuff like that. All the way up until, you know, like, obviously, like, sort of him needing to be stopped from, you know, like, harming civilians and stuff like that, you know. He's actually, like, you know, regularly harming, like real American civilians and stuff. You know, sort of, you know, because obviously, like, harm coming to regular people that he's supposed to, you know, that's what he's there for, so. That's obviously that's sort of that happening, you know. We do everything to continue to be like, well, he's still the president until you remove him from office, unfortunately. Now, they need to do that, but they're not gonna. They're not gonna. So anyway, yeah, the Shadow War. Again, there's so many moving parts to this, and really, it's just the war that exists where there could be this country or this clandestine organization, you know, like this shadow organization, these people that have access to technology they should not have access to, that maybe you don't know exists, maybe even the U.S. doesn't know exists, which usually doesn't happen, but it's possible. And, you know, like, other people too, you know, just basically the concept of that existence of, you know, not knowing that it exists. It's there, but you don't know, and it could just, you know, be a problem. So that's the reality. So remember all the technologies already that we just talked about, the possibility of those technologies and stuff. Now put on top of that the fact that that gap that we talked about, where it's well past what even I would understand. You know, like, obviously I'm clearly coming up with stuff that they were working on and stuff like that, and that was like the latest and greatest, and I'm just sort of kind of thinking of it on the spot and stuff like that. then there's way more. You know, like you have to understand that if I thought of that and stuff, they already thought of that, and there's other things that other people sat around a table and thought about and stuff like that. So it's like, trust me, it's been thought of. So, and then with AI too. So you gotta appreciate and respect what that means. Just the fact that at any given time, again, the Shadow War, at any given time, there are so many different technologies that you don't know about, you don't know exist, that could harm you and your way of living, your way of life, livelihood, your future of your country, your rights, that sort of thing. And obviously, the point is not to be afraid of technology, obviously, but the point is to always have a well embraced education and understanding of what we're doing before we experiment. This is so, so, so important. So, yeah, that's what I'll say is just really, really important. Um, that's I don't know that it's something that we are really doing much of anymore in general. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like I mean, even if you sit here and think about some of the technologies we've talked about with video games, uh, when a new technology comes out, they don't really even seem to perfect it. They just gotta kind of push it out there a lot of times, uh, and then it needs adjusting and stuff like that. Like ray tracing wasn't. So, yeah, I mean, like there's been a lot of that lately. Yeah, 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 and then we have conveniently some some messing around with the rate. That's okay. Um, I'll probably I have there is I'm not making this up. There is about a foot of snow outside. Now normally I'm like, yeah, snow, but it's still snowing and I have to shovel this. There's a foot of snow. Literally, I'm not making that up. There might be more by now. There's a literal foot of snow. 12 inches. Yeah. Yeah, that's how much snow is outside right now. So, um, I don't think it has stopped either. Oh no, I think it did actually, finally. So, yeah. Unfortunately, I'm losing daylight. Darn. Stinking snow. So anyway, gotta go do some stuff, obviously. But, that's my comment on what's going on, and the whole point is they're getting a rise out of me. You know, like, I'll come on and I'll blame it on Trump or I'll blame it on this, and then it causes the other side to, like, that's what you gotta recognize. Like, the reason, like, part of the reason I said all this and stuff like that, like, that's why I'm the target. Like, they're, like, I'm one of the ones that they think that they're gonna use and stuff like that. And so I'm trying to make it seem unusable to them, you know, like sort of trolly in a way sometimes, where I like overreact and people almost almost realize it's a bit crazy, it's a bit outrageous. Okay, maybe this is a little bit, maybe I should, you know. So so I hope that sometimes that does that, but because that's what people need. Like, if somebody else is doing that, they'll be like, well, wait a minute, is that what I look like? Oh, shit. um I think that's a big one for people, but figured I would just state that you know, I'm definitely, you know, just in case you're wondering, you know, like, what's all this? Yeah, it's because I'm obviously, I've you know, been manipulating my views, all this crazy stuff going on. They're clearly manipulating the stuff that I'm talking about and getting me to to smear this brand and this brand and this brand and this company and this company. Well, they are, but I will say, I mean, now, again, it's the NSA, so, you know, it's not really that fair. But, you know, I will say that it's kind of clear which companies, you know, which hardware they can and can't screw with as much as others, you know. So I will at least say that, but for the most part, if you give them enough time, as long as they know what it is, yeah. And an amateur's not doing that. Yeah, there's an amateur here for sure, but that's, again, that manipulation. So, and we've talked about that before. So, do I think he needs to be removed from office? Do I think the ultimate message is because the NSA probably thinks that they have to get rid of him to remove him, and that's the only way? Yes, I do. I think that whoever's doing this, again, the NSA, that's what they think. That there's no other alternative. I'm obviously the optimist that says that you need to always be in the right, the better person, and not do it that way. You need to not do that. Because all that's going to do is possibly spark a civil war. You saw how people acted when this guy was almost assassinated the first time. It, like, charged more people to... It's like a pity party or something. It's like, how does that even... What? I don't... It's so strange. So... it may be even more slimier than you think. Maybe that's the ultimate goal, and then they know that would bring it all down. You know, like again, you can't do that. You cannot let a president, and again, even if you don't agree with him, even if you, again, you just can't let it happen. Can't. You don't do it that way. You unelect. You impeach. You remove. You don't go with violence. Ever. Is never, ever, ever the answer. I want you to notice now, again, they sit here and they throw all at once a ton of likes on the stream. Well, now, very, very slowly, all of these likes, as I said, the no violence, are now coming off. If you go direct your attention to the like button, there was like so many likes on here, and now they're very, very slowly taking them off to try to have an effect on the negative effect on the trending and stuff like that. Again, right as we would say what we're saying, and it does. Of course it does. The system is being fooled into thinking those are real likes coming on. The whole point is that their system is being fooled into thinking that many people really are removing that many likes every day from my streams. That's what they're doing. So that's a problem. It's causing so many problems. Just like the views they're removing too many of. So, I gotta get going. I gotta get going. But, there's a real shadow war going on here and in the States and in the world in general. And appreciate the fact that they could possibly be using a sound, again, a wave transmission that would not be audible to you for the most part. And trust me, they can. Especially all the drones we saw and stuff like that. Trust me, they can. I remember most of them were confirmed to be military drones, right? Right? Trust me, they can. Before I go, I think the concern is that the next step is possibly them embedding whatever this sound is, this invisible sound, into like YouTube ads and stuff like that, so that you see it or hear it all the time. Like something that can make the ad more addictive or make you go get the thing in the ad, or yeah. Or make you go vote for somebody. Yep. So. Oh boy. And yeah, By the way, like 7 to 10 cops don't need to shoot and murder somebody that they already have on the ground. By the way, they don't need to do that. By the way. So, in case you're wondering my opinion on that, yeah, it's pretty much that simple. The guy's already on the ground, and 7 to 8 to 10, however many fucking cops were supposedly standing there. Again, I guess I use that term loosely. Federal agents were standing there. All those men couldn't handle that guy. So they shot him while he was being held down. Okay, so yeah, they murdered somebody after attacking them. That's what happened. That's how you should look at that. Yes. So as you can see, they're just trying to break up what I'm saying, and you would have had some buffering there. As you can see, they're trying to break up what I'm saying, and you would have had some buffering there. So I want to remind you that, again, having a guy on the ground where 7 to 10 federal agents are holding this person down, yeah, they murdered them. And if you're sitting here buffering my stream because of some stupid fucking thing because you have fucking kids watching this shit, go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. Get your fucking kids off YouTube. They shouldn't be on there. Idiots. Half of you can't fucking parent anyway. And you sit here getting all pissed off at the streamer. Meanwhile, your kid shouldn't be on the fucking platform. You know, that stupid dumb bitch from Canada? What was his name? That dumb bitch from Canada that caused all kinds of problems from MDL that was underage? Are you kidding me? And then they tried to, like, sue him or something like that just because that dumb bitch was allowed to sit and watch his stream. Again, the parents weren't parenting, and this dumb little bitch was intentionally being all like, feel bad for me, my feelings, all while he went around and literally threatened to kill all of us. And we didn't know who he was. How do I know who this random person is with these random accounts? And he's just going around threatening to kill people. And this piece of garbage got away with like, reporting these streamers and stuff like that, and yeah. So you have to understand, like, that's what's actually going on here. Like, there is no parental supervision. These idiots just let their kids just, they'll have the phone, you'll be on YouTube, dur, and they're not actually watching it. And meanwhile, they should be parenting. And they just want to blame it on whatever the thing is they found that they shouldn't have found. It's not for them. Do better. And if you don't, stop blaming whatever you found it. It's gonna happen eventually. Stop blaming that thing. That's the world. So, some people are just dumb. So anyway, yeah, some ICE agents. Yeah, 7 to 10 ICE agents holding a guy down and then shooting him 10 times. Yeah, that's just murder, man. So that was what I was saying when they were trying to break up my stream there. I just really wanted to reiterate that my stream was being broken up conveniently as I was stating these things. So anyway, you see the emoji? I guess that person thinks murder is really funny. That person thinks the murder of this person is really funny. That's why they're hitting that. I must think it's really funny. I don't know what about anything I said that was funny. Yeah, I really don't. None of it was funny. None of it was party time either. Yeah, you're hitting confetti now. What are we partying for? What are you celebrating? Oh, so now you're celebrating that somebody was murdered. Oh, 100%. Oh, okay. So now, there you go. There's your answer. There you go. Should I just leave the stream open for whoever wants to investigate that? Maybe I will. Yeah, maybe I'll just step away for a little bit. I'll leave the stream open for whoever wants to investigate that. That thinks that, I mean, you want to look into whoever's hitting this and thinking that, they're gonna confirm that you know, 100% they're laughing at this person getting murdered. I think that, you might find some things. I think you might find some things with this person. Maybe some illegal stuff that this person is doing that they should not be doing. So yeah, I'll go ahead and leave that open. If you guys want to go ahead and run some data scripts to find out who's hitting that button, feel free. They're watching the stream, they always are. I know it might look like the bitrate shifting around at times. Okay. You know, if I'm not here talking, then so be it. Feel free. I'll leave it, so that you can, see what's going on there. YouTube would know, though. Just so that you know. YouTube would know. I'm just saying. They know. But I'm losing daylight here. I'm really losing daylight. So, yeah, I gotta jump off, and feel free to put some tracking on that, and see whoever just really wants to use my stream to make sure people know that they thought it was funny that happened. Thanks for watching, though.